What's up, people? What's up, people? What's up? Hello.
Hello!
So, what's up, people? The fantastic, extraordinary, mind-blowing rally that will last till March of 2011 continues. And one more time. Song in the background, this would be Finally. And what I'm referring to is finally I refused to allow this to leave without me. Now, we all know I've been talking about Google, okay? Buying it at $4.51 that day off that nice triple bottom was one of my better trades. Yeah, you know what? I started out with, there was 400, 500 shares there. Quickly made $1,000 that afternoon. And then, of course, watched it go to 470. You know the whole story. Bought it back at 480. Thought that was retarded at the time, because you know how I am. Buying a stock that just ran 30 points without me is something I don't do. Then, 3 weeks ago, I said if it breaks 500, as I was talking to Scott Redler about this. Scott Redler of T3, one of my guys that he's more famous than I am because he gets to go on CNBC with his calls. I sit and change my daughter with the changing table in the back and put myself in a straitjacket and complain about bull markets. But Scott, I was hanging with Scott and I said, Scott, what do you do with a stock that you know is going higher but you feel like you're chasing? And he said, you might want to move on and find something else. I said, I know. But don't you know when Google breaks 520, it's going to go to 550? And he shrugged. He said, yeah, well, you know, every situation is different. So I didn't get really a straight answer from Scott. I love Scott. He's made some sick calls. Down-to-earth guy. Love the guy. So I said, you know what's going to happen also is that when Google breaks 535, it's going to go right to 550. That's a guarantee. Then when it breaks 550, you know it's going to go to 580. And if it goes to 580, it's going to go right to 600. And if it goes to 600, it's going to go to 620. And I said, Scott, do you know why I know that? Because that's what happens. So here's the moral of the story. You want to know if I still own Google at this point, right? Well, I told you I had 1,000 shares, right? And I wasn't going to sell it. Oh, I sold it. Got stopped out at 520 that day. Was up 14 grand on the position. And I proceeded to sell it at 520. So I made about 1,500 on that. That was the last of Google. Then, when it went back up the next day, I was so convinced. That's the only thing. Blinded by fury, rage, that trumped me being stubborn and sane. Because you cannot be stubborn and sane in a bull market. You can't. You can't. Because through every bull market, and the cliche that I love, because it really does work, is the wall of worry. And I'm worried. I'm a freaking nervous Nelly. I'm a little bitch. But for the past 3 weeks, I've been putting that aside, assuming that we just go up. That's why I bought Broadcom on the dip a couple of days ago. And then next thing you know, it ended up a point up higher for the day. But we're talking about Google. We started buying the Google. Then I chased and I went in crazy and I bought some December 550s. And I was like, am I going to really want to pay $30 for an option? So I sold that immediately for a 3 or 4 point gain. Then I was like, okay, let me see which options look cheap, relatively speaking. And considering what we were looking at was Google had to catch up. It had to join its brethren in this massive Nasdaq bull market, right? So I figured this is the time. The last 3 earnings seasons, we had 10%, almost 10% downward on the stock. Now, another thing I base all of my trading on, everything I do, not your charts, obviously not fundamentals. Couldn't read. That's the one class in college that I actually failed. Yeah, I was doing a lot of ecstasy and experimenting with LSD, actually going to class on LSD to see how that worked out, to see if I could use osmosis to learn accounting. Doesn't work, kids. And smoking weed while you study and then smoking before the test doesn't work. That's a rumor. Trust me, doesn't work. Unless drooling on the paper like you were doing the night before gets you better grades, doesn't work. So failed accounting, don't know how to read that stuff, okay? Technical analysis, I know 4 different strategies that I like. Pivot points, reversals, and breakouts, breakdowns. I know enough, I could teach a few classes on it, people who don't know. But when you start getting into your bull flags, triple inverted head and shoulders, reverse stochastic patterns, Bollinger Band stochastics. Yeah, if you show me a Bollinger Band or an inverted candlestick, I could probably tell you what the stock might look like it's going to do. But the main thing is your psyche. Okay? I heard about the Android. You know how I'm an Apple fan. And I don't even know why I'm an Apple fan. Every product I've bought from Apple has been damaged. Something was wrong with it. But the reason Apple is the greatest company in the world is that every time I brought my computer back into the store, angry, and you know how I am, I love to fuck with people when I'm pissed off about a product. That ruined the whole video, right? The little spittle. I just woke up. Bear with me. So every time I walk into Apple, it's me to complain about something. Something's wrong. I think your prices are too high. I want retribution. I go in there all angry. I walk out not angry, happy, excited, and I bought something. There's something in the air in the Apple stores. I believe it's combined with their fantastic customer service. They always have some girl that looks like Tina Fey in there working with your dark rimmed sunglasses and the dark hair. Love that shit. Love that shit. Very friendly. And they always fix my stuff. My iPhone dropped out a couple times. I said, this phone sucks. They handed me another one. And I got to tell you one thing. The iPhone 4 phone sucks. It really, really does. It's a fun toy, but if you actually want to make phone calls on it, it's not good. The screen is too sensitive. The mute button gets pressed and people are like, huh? What? Huh? What? Or an app will just suddenly open up because your face is too sensitive for the thing. Doesn't matter. I'm not returning it. I might get a third one just to give another one a shot. Okay, so let's talk about Google. So then we had then I stepped up after selling out of the 550 calls. I went, okay, let's look at where the stock's going and let's play that accordingly. So first we started buying December 600s because I figured by the earnings report in this bull market, Google should hit 600. 620 was my target price. So I figured December 6, and also reason I like this December 600s was because they were 420. It's a weed reference if you don't know. 420. So they were 420. Next thing you know, they were 680. So I sold them. Then, lo and behold, the stock actually pulled back. I got to buy the option again at the same price. Did it again. 420. Got in again at 420. Sold them at 6. Then I was like, okay, I can't believe the stock pulled back. See, the only reason I'm trading the stock nicely is because I had this foregone conclusion that the stock's definitely guaranteed to go to 600. You can't trade like that. You can't trade. Oh, wait, maybe you can if you're convinced that your idea is that good. But then the stock goes down 16, 17 points trying to convince you that maybe you're wrong. But it is Google. 16, 17 points is a fart in the wind. You got to remember that. So then the Novembers. I went and bought some November 580s. Next thing you know, stock starts rebounding. Sold those. So then the bottom line is, do I go back in and buy some stock? Yes, I do. I bought 300 shares of Google, and I wound up they created some new options yesterday that expire next week, so I didn't have to lay out as much cash. Sold out of all of them. So the bottom line is, at one point, I had about 6,000 shares collectively of Google. And what do you want to know?